Hi, Van. Are you actually in a van?
Just a truck at the moment, but
Dan
other
spends
than
much
that,
of his life in a van,
I do.
in the
Pardon
van.
my
Slash
dad humor there.
That's all right. I'm a dad myself. I appreciate it. You're good to go. Your audio is good. Are you able to, on the microphone tab on the bottom, there's a little up arrow. Can you just make sure it says same as system? Are you connected to a Bluetooth? Is that a Bluetooth in your ear?
It is
Is that your
Bluetooth, and that's the way we get good audio here.
Okay, cool. All right, no problem. Sounds good, and we're good to go. Lindsay, I'm going to back out. We are rolling. I'll let you know if there's any issue.
Matt, I've listened to some of the other interviews you've done, so I don't want to be too repetitive. Has anything changed with, I know you were planning a stage with speakers, you've announced some of them, a large projection screen. Anything else to note about how this is going to look?
No, it's pretty much all set. The flight plan has been established. We look forward to having a successful and safe rally at the Capitol on Saturday.
Only noon to 1:15, right?
Yep.
Any plans before or after?
I might do a little bit of a media scrum afterwards because I know press want to have questions, so I'm open to doing that afterwards. But otherwise, it's a pretty straightforward event. We want people to get there a little bit early, get out safe, get out in large groups so that nobody can harass you or cause you any problems, and get everybody out of the District of Columbia by 1:30, if not sooner.
So you really want people back at their hotels or back home as soon as this is done?
I think due diligence requires that we just do everything we can to keep our people safe. We've held 2 events in DC so far. There were no incidences, but you always want to be careful, and you always want to look out for the people who stick their necks out by coming to an event like this, and do everything you can to keep them safe.
Were both of those called Justice for J6 as well?
The one at the Department of Justice was called Rally Against Political Persecution, and the rally at the prison it had another similar name, Rally on behalf of political prisoners. So
Same premise.
Same premise.
How many people attended those?
We had about 20 at the Department of Justice. People were absolutely terrified to come out, and so many voices they were hearing said, "Don't do it." The event at the prison had about 150, and then we had about 9 events all across the country. I think the largest of those was probably in Florida, Texas, and Arizona. I was at the one in Arizona. We had 300 people there. And now we have this rally on Saturday, and we have 17 or 18 planned across the country for the following weekend. And I'll be at the one in South Carolina myself.
On Saturday, you still thinking it could be as many as 700? Any better sense of how many will be there?
I don't have any way of knowing that. It may just be me with a megaphone. Or it might be 10 million people. We don't have a way of really measuring that. And the police have a much better means of determining that because I guess they're tracking hotel bookings or something like that. But we expect it to be a modest crowd. But what really matters is that whether we have 100 or 700 or 1,000 or whatever, the media is going to be there this time. And we've gone to one place that they can no longer ignore us. You and I didn't have a conversation at either of the other rallies. You and I didn't have a conversation when we sent the letter to the Department of Justice and FBI in January. Nobody was there when we were at the United Nations a few weeks ago. But everybody's there now, and it'll be covered live by everyone from C-SPAN to CBS to you guys and CNN, etc.
Was the publicity part of why you planned it this way and planned it at the Capitol?
Yes. This
Has
is
it helped
a cause.
raise money?
It has helped raise the profile of the cause. We've seen polling data that now shows essentially half of America agrees with us that the administration is holding political prisoners. That includes 45% of Democrats. The Rasmussen poll that came out just recently. We've also been shared with us internal polling that from other organizations that show something similar, that many voters are completely tuning into our message and they agree. And, when we started this all the way back in January, we knew we needed to raise public awareness of these political prisoners, and we've gradually just chipped away at it. We've been persistent with our messaging, and it's starting to pay off dividends.
How much money have you raised in the last week?
I don't have any idea. We initially needed about $30,000, less than that to pay for the rally at the Capitol and to pay for 20 rallies across the country. So we were able to raise that about a week or so, but Look at America is involved in a lot of different things. We do voter registration, we do candidate education, we do citizen or state legislative education on election integrity, all kinds of stuff. So we're a pretty big organization. I really don't know how the fundraising's gone, but what really matters to me is that our message is finally being heard. We've gotten hundreds of media hits there's local news, national radio, etc. So that's really what matters, and that was, I think, the biggest benefit of us going to the one place they could not ignore us.
You're a former Trump campaign staffer, and you've argued that there was fraud in the 2020 election. Why are you saying no Stop the Steal signs and no Trump gear at the rally, and what happens if people wear that?
To clarify exactly what I said was that we identified a large number of illegal ballots that surpassed the margin of victory, which means it was not really possible to know who won this. That's our line, but that's something else. This protest has nothing to do with President Trump, President Biden, whether the election was legitimate, whether it was stolen, or any other third-party organization. This is solely about the betrayal of our values that the Department of Justice and this administration has perpetrated against these political prisoners, and the fact that the police department shot and killed an unarmed citizen and cleared themselves. Can you imagine what would have happened if the Minneapolis Police Department had cleared themselves in the killing of George Floyd? No one would find that acceptable. This is exactly the same thing, and we're demanding a third-party investigation and oversight into exactly what happened and what led to the decision to pull the trigger that killed Ashley Babbitt.
Why is there such an issue, though? These like-minded people who are Trump supporters who believe the election was stolen, why can't people express this at the rally?
They can express it at their own rally or anywhere else they want. This rally is focused solely on this cause. We don't want anything to distract from it. This is not a partisan rally. This is not a pro-Trump rally. This is not a pro-Biden rally. This is not a MAGA or anti-MAGA rally. This is a bipartisan effort to raise awareness of the mistreatment of our fellow citizens. It has nothing to do with any party or candidate, and we don't want anything to distract from that.
People will really get booted out.
We will politely ask them to turn their shirts inside out or give them like tape to cover it up if they didn't hear the message. But the way I see it is, if we make this polite request and somebody decides that they don't want to obey it, they're probably an infiltrator. They're probably there to cause trouble. We're all there together. We all have the same message. We're all on the same team. If somebody doesn't want to go along with that, it sends a message to me that they're probably trying to infiltrate us, probably trying to cause drama, trying to discredit our event.
Are members of Proud Boys and Oath Keepers and other groups of the like, are they welcome?
Nobody's welcome wearing any third-party clothing. And if you're not wearing third-party clothing, I don't know who the hell you are. All I know is that you're there to protest. We welcome BLM. We welcome, they want to come up, I guess, Antifa. I mean, I think this is an issue where we have a lot of common ground with BLM. They would not find it acceptable if somebody was shot by a police officer, say a person of color, and the police department cleared themselves. This is a matter of justice. And I think that we all stand together on that. So we don't want anybody to bring any other kind of branding, but if you don't have branding on, we have no idea who you are.
You've called this the greatest civil rights battle of our time, correct?
That is correct, and it's for a very clear reason, is that in the past, civil rights have been violated because of people's skin color or their sex or other protected class issues. This is unique. These people are being persecuted because of their political beliefs. Over and over again in recent history, there have been similar behaviors at the U.S. Capitol. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez interfered with government business and had a mass sit-in at the Speaker's office. During the Kavanaugh hearings, protesters stormed Senate office buildings and the hearing rooms and repeatedly interrupted the procedures, interrupted the function of government. They were over and over again given fines of $35 or $50 or nothing at all and let go. Just a few months ago, protesters blockaded the White House, environmental protesters. They were arrested and released that day. These people, the vast majority who have not been charged with anything violent or any destruction of property, have been targeted by the FBI and Department of Justice for engaging in exactly the same behavior, yet they are facing, in many cases, they've been in jail for 9 months without medical attention, without the opportunity for bail, without complete access to their attorneys. They haven't even been convicted. They've just been charged with nonviolent offenses. In many cases, military veterans who sacrifice themselves for this country facing this treatment. If you believe that's wrong, you're on our side. If you believe it's wrong for a police department to clear itself after killing an unarmed citizen, you're on our side, and more people are beginning to see that.
Many of those arrested were charged and arrested under the Trump administration. So does that mean the Trump administration was persecuting conservatives?
So I think that, what date was Biden inaugurated?
20th.
So there were like 14 days there, I guess.
And there were a lot of people who were arrested in that time under the Trump administration.
And most of the people that were arrested were probably covered by the letter that we sent in early January. This has nothing to do with who the president is. This is wrong no matter what. It happens to be that this is the president now that's continuing to persecute. This is this president's Department of Justice. And this president has the power, and his Department of Justice has the power to drop all of these charges. You know, at President Trump's inauguration, over 200 individuals associated with Antifa were arrested for real violence, assaulting police officers, destroying property, etc. Over 200 of them had all charges dropped. And here we are with people who've not been accused, not been charged with anything remotely violent, just walking into a public building, having their lives destroyed. Why? Because of what they believe. And that's what makes it the greatest civil rights battle of our time.
Again, would it be accurate to say that the Trump administration persecuted people because of their conservative beliefs, because so many were charged and arrested under his administration?
It doesn't matter who the president was. For the last 14 days of the Trump's administration, honestly, it was still wrong then. They should have been let go.
Why weren't they? I mean, if people are being persecuted because they're conservatives, why would a conservative administration be doing that?
You'd have to ask Bill Barr. That'd be a good question for him, or the FBI, but they probably take the same line that the Biden administration has taken so far.
Chris Wray is still there. I mean, it's been the same person.
Yeah, that would be a great question for him. But this has nothing, this is not I don't really care who the president is or who the president was. This is still wrong. And right now, the people we're targeting, the people we're asking to do the right thing is this current Department of Justice, this current FBI, this current president, this current Speaker of the House, who's sitting on 14,000 hours of video that we believe would tell a very different story than the official narrative of there ever having been an insurrection to begin with.
Speaking of video, to be clear, these are the people here that this rally is in support of.
I can't really see that. I can't really see that. I can't see that. That's not accurate. But I mean, if you're showing me videos of people being violent, so I'd encourage you to do your homework. Because
I've really done it, and I've done my homework on this, and so I'm really familiar with these videos. You'll see Officer Mike Fanone come up here. Is this rally in support of the person who tasered him and caused him to have a heart attack, and the person who, that's Officer Daniel Hodges in the doorway?
Very good job. You're making your cheap, inaccurate points. I said you have not done your. No, it's not. It's a cheap. It's a cheap shot, and it's disinformation.
I'm asking simply, is this rally in support of those people who assaulted police?
In January, when we sent our letter to the Department of Justice and FBI, in that letter and in the video I made, which you did not see because you've not done your homework, I specifically said that anybody accused of violence should be arrested, given a speedy trial, and prosecuted. All of the people that we were protesting on behalf of are individuals who have not been charged with any violence or destruction of property. I've said this to you like 3 or 4 times. Anybody who put no, let me finish. You asked the question, I get to answer it. I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to keep talking until you're going to let me answer this question. We've said from the beginning that anybody that committed violence against a police officer or destroyed property deserves to be arrested, prosecuted, and jailed. This is about the over 500 people who have not been charged with any violence, not with laying a finger on a police officer. Now, understand your agenda, which is now obvious, is to make it seem like we're in favor of the people who assaulted police. But that has been clear from the beginning.
Never made it clear in any interview I've seen that you are not supporting some of these defendants. You've not made that clear.
Okay, well, so you have not done your homework. You've not done your homework.
You don't even know how many people have been charged. It's over 500.
No, that's not true. That's not true. We've built the most comprehensive database of everybody that's been arrested. It's at lookaheadamerica.org/J6. It includes many people that have not even shown up in the public databases. We know what they're charged with. We know where they are now. We know who all their attorneys are. The very first thing we did was send a letter to the Department of Justice and FBI, and I released a video that very specifically condemned those who committed violence. So you did not do your homework.
So
I can send you that video. It's been out since January.
So the answer to the question is no. I showed you the video of the people assaulting police and asked you, is this rally in support of them? The answer is no. Is that right?
Correct. You actually said your rally is in support of these people, but it didn't come out as a question.
I said, I asked the question. I showed you the video, and I said, is this rally in support of these people? That was the question for you.
Nope.
And, oh, great. I mean, again, that has not been conveyed in anything I've seen about this rally.
Well, you haven't done your homework.
About a specific
it hasn't been conveyed because you haven't done your homework. Just admit it.
Well, here we go. What a beautiful opportunity to clarify, right? What a great chance.
Well, no, if you ask the question, but then you say, no, but you said that.
We're talking about a large group of people with a range of charges. If you're talking about a subset of the over 500 arrested, then I think that that's an important
It's the vast majority of them, actually. But you said that I've never made it clear that this is not about them, and that is completely false. I do interviews all day long, and I've recorded many of them and posted them on my own YouTube channel. And if you had read the letter that we sent that started all of this, it was very clear, and we've been very clear that we're talking about the people who've not been accused of violence or destruction of property. We've said that over and over again.
That's why I asked the question. That's why I showed you the video. To make it clear, because there were over 100 officers who were injured. So we're talking about more than a few people who are charged with crimes of assault.
Yet the vast majority of those that have had their lives destroyed, and many of those who are still sitting in solitary confinement for 9 months, have not been charged with any violence at all. And that's what we're advocating for. Do you think that's right?
How many people specifically, then, are you talking about?
I would say
that this rally is in support of. How many?
I would say the vast majority of the 600 or so that have been arrested.
Except for
here's the thing. I'll do you one better. I'll do you one better. This is for one person. One person who was unarmed and shot by police, and the police department cleared them. You saw this country burn to the ground for just one man being killed by police officers not that long ago. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, this is about one person who was shot unarmed by a police officer. The police department cleared them with no oversight, no public investigation, nothing at all. That's what this is about.
Yeah, I'm clear on that. I spoke with Ashley Babbitt's husband on Monday, actually. Any message that you have to members of law enforcement who were assaulted on January 6th and who will be out there defending you on Saturday?
I think that a lot of the officers have been mistreated by the administration. 6 of them at least have been sanctioned, and you know this. 6 of them have been sanctioned for their behavior on January 6th. But the Capitol Police isn't announcing what those charges were, what they did. And I think there's a good possibility that what they're being sanctioned with isn't fair and isn't right. So we're actually, in some ways, protesting for them. When we demand transparency from the Capitol Police and from Nancy Pelosi, I don't know that they haven't been abused directly themselves. And we've made clear, anybody that was injured by a cop, we stand completely behind the prosecution, the speedy trial, and that individual being sent to prison and facing consequences. You don't assault police officers in this country.
Again, the rally is for those who are charged with minimal crimes, not to include destruction of property or
trespassing, parading, and you can look at the things that people have pled guilty to, like parading. Great. Or look at Jake Angeli. He's been scapegoated because he was supposedly the face of this protest. He didn't hit a police officer. He didn't touch a police officer. He was polite to everybody. He didn't destroy property, but he was the face of it, so they have to make him pay. And that is completely immoral. And I really question the moral integrity of anybody who thinks that is acceptable. To spend 9 months in prison, not convicted and denied bail, and denied access to health coverage because he's got all kinds of physical mental problems and things like that. They've only been exacerbated. Completely unjustifiable. And again, it has nothing to do with what he did. It has to do with what he believes.
I spoke to his attorney for over an hour, so I'm really familiar with that case for sure. You know, on January 5th, I spoke to the organizer of the Stop the Steal rally. She said there was absolutely no plans for violence, and she wanted to have a peaceful event. But these people were brought out under the premise that the election had been stolen. Things got out of hand. People left the rally. They went on to do what we all saw them do. Do you have any concerns with a similar premise to your rally, that people's constitutional rights are being taken away because of their core beliefs you're ginning people up in the exact same way as on January 6th.
Do you ever pull a story because you're afraid that it might gin people up? When you inject race into, say, a police shooting, that might gin people up and cause violence. Does that ever cause you to pull a story?
Inject what?
Does it ever cause you to pull a story when you think that something might be racially sensitive, but it's the truth, and you might, might provoke a riot or provoke violence of some kind? Do you ever pull a story because of that?
So no concerns?
We're very concerned. We've cooperated with the Capitol Police, the Park Police, Metropolitan Police. We've got additional security, diplomatic security team to help make the event be smooth. We've got volunteers who are going to be there to help keep everybody safe. We're encouraging everybody to leave in groups together so that they can't be targeted so easily. So we're doing everything we can to keep people safe. But just because there's some whisper or threat of some violence happening, it doesn't cause our First Amendment rights to disappear. And that's certainly not the case for a media outlet. It's not the case for us.
Any thoughts on fencing going up tonight?
Yes, it's meant to intimidate us, because what the ruling class in this country fears far more than what they ever imagined happened on January 6th is what's going to happen on September 18th, which is a peaceable assembly of the America First right in this country, petitioning our government with our First Amendment rights for justice. And that terrifies them more than anything, because when you have people that are provoked into violence or to apathy, but particularly to violence, well, you can deal with them very easily. You send the FBI after them, and they're gone forever, right? Or they get arrested, throw them off to the gulag. And that is easier for them to deal with than a well-organized community organizing, which they've never seen before for the American right in the level we've been doing it, not just here, but all across the country. And this is a growing movement. So those fences aren't there for us. We had events at the Department of Justice. We had an event at the prison. There was no violence. There was no hint of violence. And I said from the very beginning that every police officer that is there should be treated with respect and kindness. That's there to intimidate us, and we are not going to be deterred.
Do you believe this event will change any outcomes?
I think it will change outcomes in two ways. I think that the greater awareness the public has of these political prisoners, the more pressure there'll be on federal legislators to demand action from the Department of Justice. The more it will encourage perhaps the Attorney General to reconsider the way this has been handled. But I also believe that there's a second benefit in the long run. Again, community organizing has really belonged to the left for generations. So this exercise for us is developing structure, institutional knowledge, leadership, developing a new culture so that if something like this happens 2, 5, 10 years from now, we'll be able to pay this experience forward and be able to give a more robust and fruitful response.
Anything else you would want to share or think people should know?
I look forward to everybody having a safe, peaceful expression of our First Amendment rights at noon on September 18th at the west of the Capitol.
Location still set, same spot, Union Square, right? Across?
Yeah, it's not actually a square, but that's what it's called. Yeah, it's on the west side of the reflecting pool.
Thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
Recording stopped.